In the quiet of a dense forest, where the sunlight barely kisses the ground through a canopy of ancient trees, there's a feeling that lingers in the air. It's a feeling that whispers to the soul, a sense of presence, like unseen eyes watching from the shadows. For thousands of years, people across the world have felt this presence, a mysterious force that lives within the forest, breathing with the wind, moving with the leaves, and speaking in the rustle of the undergrowth. These are the spirits of the forest, guardians of nature, embodiments of the wild, and they are as old as the earth itself. In the heart of every culture, there lies a reverence for the forest. To some, the forest is a place of fear and mystery, where spirits dwell, both kind and malevolent. To others, it is a sacred sanctuary, a place of peace and wisdom, where the spirits guide and protect those who respect the land. Across continents, these spirits have many names and faces, yet they share a common essence, a connection between the natural world and the spiritual realm that humans have sensed since time immemorial. In Europe, the deep woods have long been believed to be the home of beings like dryads, gentle tree spirits who dwell within the trunks of ancient oaks and birches. These spirits are said to watch over the trees, their lifeblood intertwined with the roots and branches. When a tree is harmed, the dryad feels the pain as if it were her own, and woe to those who cause harm without reason. The people of the past knew this well, and they would offer gifts at the base of the trees, hoping to earn the dryad's favor, asking for protection during their travels or bountiful harvests from the forest's fruits. In Slavic folklore, the leshy roams the woods, a towering figure, sometimes kind, sometimes cruel. His eyes are the color of the forest itself, shifting from the deep green of summer to the brown of autumn leaves. The leshy is a guardian, but also a trickster. Those who wander too far into his domain might find themselves lost, spun around by the forest paths that seem to change direction with every step. Yet, if treated with respect, the leshy might guide a lost traveler back to safety, leading them by the hand like a gentle breeze through the trees. Far across the world, in the dense jungles of Southeast Asia, the spirits take on different forms. The Kodama, spirits of the trees in Japanese folklore, are silent guardians of the ancient forests. They are not often seen, but their presence is felt in the vitality of the woods. It is said that when a tree that houses a Kodama is cut down, the spirit will unleash its wrath, cursing the land and those who live on it. The people know to listen to the forest, to feel its pulse before making a move, lest they disturb the Kodama and bring misfortune upon themselves. In Africa, the spirits of the forest are more than just guardians, they are ancestors, the souls of those who have passed on, now living within the wild places. The people believe that the forest is a living, breathing entity, and within it, the spirits of their forebears reside, watching over their descendants. These spirits, like the Tokalash, can be mischievous, playing tricks on those who disrespect the land, but they are also protectors, guiding the living with wisdom passed down through generations. The forest spirits are not just limited to the trees and plants, they are found in the rivers that flow through the woods, in the animals that move silently through the undergrowth, and in the very earth beneath the feet. In the traditions of Native American tribes, every part of the forest is alive with spirit. The coyote, often seen as a trickster, teaches lessons through his cunning and wit, while the wendigo, a darker spirit, embodies the dangers of greed and isolation. These spirits are reflections of the forest itself, beautiful, bountiful, but also wild and untamed, capable of great kindness or devastating wrath. The connection between the forest and spirituality runs deep in human history. Long before cities and roads carved up the land, people lived in harmony with the forests, taking only what they needed and giving thanks for the bounty provided. They understood that the forest was not just a resource, but a sacred space, a home to spirits that could bless or curse with equal power. The rituals and traditions that honored these spirits were passed down through generations, stories told around the firelight, reminding each new generation of the unseen forces that lived in the world around them. The forest has always been more than just a collection of trees and plants. It is a place of life, of growth, of death, and rebirth. The spirits of the forest are the embodiment of this cycle, ancient beings who have existed for as long as the trees themselves. They are reminders of the deep connection between humanity and nature, a connection that has been slowly forgotten in the modern world, but one that still stirs within the hearts of those who take the time to listen. To walk in the forest is to walk among the spirits, to feel the presence of something greater than oneself. It is to step into a world where the boundaries between the physical and the spiritual blur, where the air is thick with the energy of life itself. Every rustle in the leaves, every snap of a twig, every whisper of the wind is a reminder that the forest is alive, and that within it dwell spirits older and wiser than we can ever know. There's a certain magic in the forest, a magic that has been felt by every culture and every corner of the globe. It's a magic that speaks to something deep within the human soul, a longing for connection with the world around us. The spirits of the forest are not just myth or legend, they are a part of the natural world, a part of us. They are reminders that we are not alone, that we are connected to something greater, something ancient and powerful, something that lives and breathes in the very heart of the forest. Long before the world was carved into cities and fields, when the earth was wild and untamed, people looked to the forests with a mix of awe and fear. The trees, towering and ancient, seemed to hold secrets in their silent, shadowy depths. In those days, when the line between the physical world and the spiritual was thin and blurred, people began to sense that they were not alone in the woods. There was something else there, something alive and aware, watching from the shadows, whispering in the rustle of the leaves. These were the first stirrings of belief in forest spirits, beings born from the very essence of the wild. In the quiet moments at dusk, when the light fades and the woods grow dark, ancient people would sit by their fires and tell stories. These stories spoke of how the first forest spirits came to be, born from the breath of the earth itself. They believed that when the world was young, the spirits of the trees, rivers, and stones were brought to life by the gods or by the earth's own will. These spirits were seen as protectors, each one tied to a specific place, a tree, a grove, or a river, guarding it against harm. They were the embodiment of nature's soul, the living proof that the world was full of magic. In these early days, the forest was a place of life and death, where every shadow could hide a spirit, where every breeze might carry a whisper from beyond. People felt the presence of these spirits in every part of the forest, from the tallest tree to the smallest flower. They believed that the spirits were born from the earth, that they were as old as the mountains, as wild as the rivers. The spirits were seen as children of the earth, created to watch over the natural world, to ensure that the balance was kept, that life continued to flourish in all its forms. As the centuries passed, these beliefs grew and changed, spreading from one generation to the next. The stories of how the forest spirits were created became woven into the fabric of everyday life. They were passed down through the ages, from the old to the young, from one tribe to another, each adding their own details, their own understanding of the world. The spirits were said to be born from the breath of the gods, or from the dreams of the earth itself, taking shape in the mists and shadows of the forest. They were seen as the guardians of the wild, beings of great power and wisdom, who could bring good fortune or terrible curses, depending on how they were treated. In the earliest days of humanity, when people first began to draw and carve images, the spirits of the forest were among the first to be depicted. On the walls of ancient caves, deep within the earth, the spirits were brought to life in rough, powerful images. These early depictions show beings that are half human, half beast, with the strength of the animals and the wisdom of the trees. They are shown as tall, shadowy figures, their bodies blending into the shapes of the trees, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. These images are a testament to the power of the spirits, to the fear and reverence they inspired in the people who created them. As writing developed, the stories of the forest spirits were among the first to be recorded. In the earliest written records, from the tablets of Mesopotamia to the scrolls of ancient Egypt, there are tales of spirits that dwell in the woods, who guard the trees and rivers, who can bring blessings or curses to those who cross their paths. These early records show that the belief in forest spirits was widespread, that it was a fundamental part of the way people understood the world around them. The creation of these spirits was not just a story, it was a belief, a way of explaining the world in a time when so much was unknown. The forest was a place of mystery, of danger and beauty, and the spirits were a way of making sense of it all. They were a way of understanding the power of nature, the cycle of life and death, the connection between all living things. The spirits were seen as the soul of the forest, the living embodiment of the wild, untamed power of the earth. Animism, the belief that all things have a spirit, was the foundation upon which these myths were built. In the ancient world, there was no separation between the physical and the spiritual, no divide between the world of the living and the world of the spirits. Every tree, every river, every stone was alive, filled with the spirit of the earth. This belief in the spirit within all things was not just a philosophy, it was a way of life. It was a way of understanding the world, a way of connecting with the earth, a way of living in harmony with nature. The spirits of the forest were not just figments of the imagination, they were real, living beings in the eyes of those who believed in them. They were a part of the world, as real as the trees and the rivers, as powerful as the storm and the wind. They were the protectors of the natural world, the guardians of the wild places, the keepers of the balance between life and death. And they were there, always watching, always waiting, ready to help or to harm, depending on how they were treated. These spirits, born from the earth and the dreams of the gods, were a reminder of the power and mystery of the natural world. They were a way of understanding the world, a way of connecting with the earth, a way of living in harmony with nature. And they were there, always present, always watching, in the shadows of the forest, in the rustle of the leaves, in the whisper of the wind. In the stillness of the forest, where sunlight filters through a canopy of ancient trees, there are beings that dwell just beyond the edge of our sight. They are as old as the earth, as mysterious as the night, and they have watched over these woods since time began. These are the spirits of the forest, creatures of myth and legend, whose presence has been felt by those who dare to enter their domain. They are everywhere and nowhere, blending with the whispers of the wind and the rustling of leaves, taking on forms that are as varied and wild as the forests they inhabit. In the cool, misty forests of Europe, there are spirits known for their gentle touch and their quiet presence. These are the benevolent ones, the kind-hearted spirits who guide lost travelers and protect the creatures of the woods. They take the form of delicate beings, with faces like flowers and voices like the song of birds. These spirits are said to be the guardians of the forest, watching over every tree and stream, ensuring that the balance of nature is maintained. To those who respect the forest, they bring good fortune and safe passage, but to those who harm it, they can be as elusive as a shadow, disappearing into the mist before they can be seen. In the dense, dark jungles of Africa, the spirits take on a more formidable appearance. These are the neutral spirits, who neither seek to help nor harm, but instead, maintain the natural order of the world around them. They are often depicted as powerful, imposing figures, with the strength of a lion and the wisdom of the elders. These spirits are the keepers of the ancient laws, the ones who ensure that every creature, from the smallest insect to the largest elephant, has its place in the world. They are not to be trifled with, for while they are not malevolent, they are also not merciful. They do not act out of kindness or cruelty, but out of a deep, unyielding sense of duty to the land they protect. But not all spirits are so benevolent or neutral. In the remote forests of Asia, there are spirits that are feared by those who know their tales. These are the malevolent ones, the spirits who bring fear and misfortune to those who cross their path. They are often depicted as twisted, frightening beings, with faces that shift and change, reflecting the darkest corners of the human soul. These spirits are said to be born of the forest's anger, the embodiment of nature's wrath against those who have wronged it. They haunt the deep woods, their presence felt in the chill of the air and the sudden silence that falls when they draw near. To encounter one of these spirits is to face the forest's vengeance, to be judged by a force that is as old as the earth itself. Across the world, these spirits take on different forms, shaped by the land they inhabit and the people who believe in them. In the cold, snow-covered forests of the north, they are often depicted as tall, ghostly figures, with eyes that glow like the moon on a winter's night. They move silently through the trees, their presence felt in the icy wind that bites at your skin. These spirits are the protectors of the winter woods, ensuring that the harsh season does not take more than it gives. They are both beautiful and terrifying, their cold touch a reminder of the unforgiving nature of the wild. In the tropical rainforests of South America, the spirits are vibrant and full of life, much like the forests they inhabit. They are often depicted as colorful, mischievous beings, with the ability to blend into their surroundings, disappearing into the foliage as quickly as they appear. These spirits are said to be the keepers of the forest secrets, knowing every plant and animal, every hidden path and sacred place. They are playful and curious, but also protective of their home, quick to punish those who would harm it. To see one of these spirits is to catch a glimpse of the living soul of the rainforest, a being that is as wild and unpredictable as the jungle itself. Despite their differences, all forest spirits share certain traits that speak to their deep connection to the land they inhabit. They are all deeply tied to the natural world, embodying the strength and beauty, the danger and mystery of the forests. They are often depicted as beings that are both human and more than human, with the ability to change their form, to blend into the landscape, to disappear and reappear at will. They are all creatures of the wild, untamed and unpredictable, beings of great power and wisdom, who can bring both blessings and curses depending on how they are treated. In many cultures, forest spirits are seen as the guardians of the natural world, protectors of the trees and rivers, the animals and plants that make up the ecosystem of the forest. They are often depicted as wise, ancient beings, with knowledge that stretches back to the beginning of time. They are said to be able to communicate with the animals, to understand the language of the trees, to know the secrets of the earth. They are often revered and respected, treated with the same reverence as the gods themselves. But they are also beings of great emotion, capable of both kindness and cruelty, depending on how they are approached. They can be gentle and nurturing, guiding lost travelers and protecting the creatures of the forest, but they can also be fierce and vengeful, bringing storms and disasters to those who wrong them. They are beings of balance, embodying the dual nature of the forest itself, where life and death, beauty and danger are all part of the same cycle. To those who enter the forest with respect and reverence, the spirits can be powerful allies, bringing good fortune and safe passage. But to those who enter with arrogance or greed, they can be formidable foes, capable of turning the forest itself against them. In this way, the spirits serve as a reminder of the power and majesty of the natural world, a force that is both beautiful and terrifying, both nurturing and destructive. They are the living embodiment of the forest, a force that is as old as the earth itself, a force that demands respect and reverence from all who enter its domain. In the heart of Europe, where ancient forests stretch across the land like emerald oceans, there are spirits that have watched over the trees for millennia. These beings are as old as the roots that burrow deep into the earth, and their presence is woven into the fabric of the woods. They are the Dryads, the Leshy, and the Green Man, figures of legend whose stories have been whispered by the wind through the leaves, carried from generation to generation. The Dryads are perhaps the most gentle of these spirits, but their power is no less formidable. Born from the very essence of the trees they inhabit, these spirits are bound to the woods with a love and devotion that surpasses human understanding. Each Dryad is connected to a specific tree, her life tied to its well-being. To harm the tree is to harm the Dryad, and to fell it is to bring about her death. But to the ones who approach with reverence, the Dryads can be seen as graceful figures, their forms as fluid and delicate as the branches that sway in the breeze. They move with an ethereal grace, their presence felt in the rustle of leaves and the soft murmur of the forest. Many have told stories of encountering these spirits at dusk, when the light filters through the trees in golden shafts, catching a glimpse of a figure as fleeting as a shadow. To be in the presence of a Dryad is to feel the very heartbeat of the forest, to understand its silent language, and to know that you are standing on sacred ground. Far to the east, deep in the ancient forests of Russia, another spirit roams. The Leshy, unlike the gentle Dryads, is a creature of both charm and menace. He is the protector of the wild, a guardian of the forest who can be as welcoming as a gentle breeze or as fierce as a winter storm. The Leshy's appearance is as wild as the land he protects, tall and imposing, with eyes that glow like embers, a beard made of moss, and hair that flows like tangled vines. His skin is the color of bark, his voice a rumble like distant thunder. He can change his size at will, becoming as tall as the trees or as small as the leaves on the forest floor. But despite his fearsome appearance, the Leshy is not a malevolent spirit by nature. He is a keeper of balance, a protector of the natural order, and those who respect the forest are often left untroubled by him. But woe to the one who disrespects the woods, who hunts for sport or cuts down trees without thought. The leshy can be a master of trickery, leading such intruders astray until they are hopelessly lost, their cries swallowed by the vastness of the forest. In the tales told by Fireside, the leshy is a spirit to be respected, a reminder that the wild cannot be tamed, and those who enter must do so with humility. And then there is the Green Man, a figure whose face has been carved into the stone of cathedrals and who has become a symbol of rebirth and renewal. The Green Man is not just a spirit, he is the embodiment of the forest itself, a living representation of nature's endless cycle of death and rebirth. His face is that of an old man, wise and weathered, yet it is also young, full of life, with leaves and vines sprouting from his mouth and hair. He is found in the deep woods, where the trees grow thick and the air is heavy with the scent of earth and moss. To see the Green Man is to see the very soul of the forest, to witness the eternal dance of life that unfolds within the woods. In the legends, he is both a creator and a destroyer, a figure who brings life in the spring and takes it away in the fall. But there is no malice in his actions, only the fulfillment of a cycle as old as time. The Green Man is a reminder of the ancient bond between humanity and nature, a bond that has been nearly forgotten in the modern world. But in the quiet of the forest, where the Green Man's presence can still be felt, this bond lives on, as strong as the roots of the trees that reach deep into the earth. Throughout Europe, stories of these spirits have been passed down through generations, each tale a reflection of the culture from which it sprang. In Greece, the Dryads were often depicted as shy, reclusive beings who rarely showed themselves to humans, but when they did, it was seen as a blessing, a sign that the gods were watching over the land. In Slavic folklore, the leshy was both feared and revered, a powerful figure who could be appeased with offerings and prayers, but who could also bring misfortune to those who angered him. And in the British Isles, the Green Man was a symbol of life itself, a figure whose presence in the woods was a sign of the earth's enduring vitality. These spirits are not just characters in a story, they are the living embodiment of the forests themselves. They are the guardians of the wild, the keepers of ancient knowledge, the ones who ensure that the balance of nature is maintained. To encounter one of these spirits is to step into a world that is older than humanity, a world where the trees whisper ancient secrets, and the earth pulses with life. It is a world that is both beautiful and terrifying, a world that demands respect and reverence from those who enter it. In the stories told by the Fireside, these spirits are often depicted as beings of great power and wisdom, but they are also beings of great emotion. They are capable of both kindness and cruelty, depending on how they are approached. They can bring good fortune to those who respect the forest, guiding them safely through the woods, ensuring a bountiful hunt, or providing shelter in a storm. But to those who enter with arrogance or greed, they can be formidable foes, capable of turning the forest itself against them. The trees that once provided shade and shelter can become a maze of twisting paths, the streams that once provided water can dry up or lead them in circles, and the animals that once seemed so tame can become fierce and wild. To encounter a forest spirit is to be reminded of the power and majesty of the natural world, a world that is both beautiful and dangerous, both nurturing and destructive. It is a world that is alive with the presence of these ancient beings, beings who have watched over the woods since time began, and who will continue to do so long after humanity has faded away. In the quiet forests of Asia, where the trees stretch towards the heavens and the mist clings to the ground like a shroud, ancient spirits dwell. These beings are woven into the fabric of the land, their presence felt in every rustle of leaves, every whisper of the wind. They are the Kodama of Japan, the Yiksha of India, and the Gumiho of Korea, spirits that have inspired awe, fear, and reverence in the hearts of those who live among the trees. The Kodama are perhaps the most mysterious of these spirits, their existence tied to the ancient forests of Japan. The Japanese believe that every tree, especially the oldest and most majestic, houses a Kodama. These spirits are guardians of the forest, watching over the trees and all the life within. To cut down a tree that houses a Kodama is to invite disaster, sickness, misfortune, even death. The Kodama are silent watchers, rarely seen by human eyes, but their presence is undeniable. It is said that when a Kodama dies, the tree withers and dies with it, and the forest mourns its loss with an eerie stillness. But for those who show respect to the trees, who offer prayers and gifts at their roots, the Kodama are protectors, ensuring that the forest remains a sanctuary, a place of peace and beauty. Stories tell of travelers lost in the woods who, guided by a gentle light or a whisper on the wind, find their way to safety, led by the unseen hand of a Kodama. In the dense jungles of India, the Yiksha stand as guardians of the natural world. These spirits, often depicted as fierce and powerful beings, are both revered and feared. They are protectors of the forest, the mountains, and the treasures hidden within. The Yiksha are known for their strength and their connection to the earth, their very presence a reminder of the power of nature. But they are not merely protectors, they are also beings of great beauty and grace, their forms as varied as the landscapes they inhabit. Some are benevolent, watching over travelers and ensuring that the balance of the natural world is maintained. Others, however, are less forgiving, punishing those who would dare to harm the forest or desecrate the sacred places. Tales of encounters with the Yiksha are common in Indian folklore, stories of those who have seen these spirits in the deep woods, their eyes glowing like embers in the darkness. The Yiksha are both a warning and a promise, a warning to those who would harm the earth, and a promise to those who seek to live in harmony with the natural world. In Korea, the Gumiho is a spirit of a different kind, one that blurs the line between the human and the supernatural. The Gumiho is a fox that has lived for 1,000 years, gaining the ability to transform into a beautiful woman. But beneath her enchanting appearance lies a creature of cunning and desire, a spirit that feeds on the hearts of men. The Gumiho is a symbol of both beauty and danger, a reminder that not all that is beautiful can be trusted. Tales of the Gumiho are filled with both tragedy and terror, stories of men who are lured into the forest by her beauty, only to meet a grisly end. Yet, there are also stories of redemption, of Gumiho who fall in love with humans and choose to abandon their dark ways, seeking instead to live as mortals. These stories speak to the complexity of the Gumiho, a spirit that is both feared and pitied, both loved and loathed. These spirits are not just characters in folklore, they are the embodiment of the forests they inhabit, their stories a reflection of the cultures that created them. In Japan, the reverence for the Kodama is a reflection of the deep respect for nature that is woven into the fabric of the culture. The Yiksha, with their fierce protectiveness and connection to the earth, embody the Indian belief in the sacredness of the natural world. The Gumiho, with her beauty and danger, reflects the Korean belief in the duality of nature, the idea that beauty and danger often go hand in hand. But these spirits are also more than just symbols, they are living beings, with emotions and desires of their own. The Kodama, with their quiet watchfulness, reflect the patience and endurance of the forest, their lives tied to the trees they inhabit. The Yiksha, with their strength and power, reflect the majesty and might of the natural world, their very presence a reminder of the earth's untamed beauty. The Gumiho, with her complexity and duality, reflects the mystery and allure of the forest, a place of both beauty and danger. These spirits have influenced the customs and traditions of the cultures that created them. In Japan, the belief in the Kodama has led to a deep reverence for trees, with many ancient trees being considered sacred, protected by law and tradition. In India, the belief in the Yiksha has led to the creation of sacred groves, places where the natural world is left untouched, a sanctuary for both the spirits and the earth. In Korea, the stories of the Gumiho have led to a fascination with foxes, with many believing that these creatures possess a special connection to the spirit world. The stories of these spirits are not just tales of the past, they are living legends, their influence felt in the present day. The forests of Asia are still seen as places of mystery and wonder, places where the spirits of the ancient world still roam. To enter these forests is to step into a world where the line between the human and the supernatural is blurred, where the trees whisper ancient secrets and the spirits of the forest watch from the shadows. These spirits are a reminder of the deep connection between humanity and the natural world, a connection that has been nearly forgotten in the modern world, but one that still lives on in the quiet places, where the forest breathes and the spirits dwell. In these tales, there is a sense of awe and wonder, a feeling that the forest is not just a place, but a living, breathing entity, filled with spirits that are as old as the earth itself. To know these spirits is to know the forest, to understand its power and its beauty, its dangers and its blessings. The Kodama, the Yiksha, and the Gumiho are more than just characters in a story. They are the soul of the forest, the guardians of the natural world, and the keepers of ancient wisdom that has been passed down through the ages. In the heart of Africa, where the dense forests hold secrets older than time, spirits roam. These spirits are not just figments of imagination, they are real to those who believe, woven into the very fabric of the land. The trees, the rivers, the shadows, they all whisper of the Tokolosh and the Abiku, spirits that are as much a part of the forest as the animals that live within it. The Tokolosh is a creature that strikes fear into the hearts of many. It is said to be small, almost childlike, with a mischievous grin that hides its true intentions. This spirit is known to cause trouble, its presence felt in the misfortunes that befall those who have crossed its path. It sneaks into homes at night, causing havoc in the lives of the unsuspecting. The Tokolosh is a trickster, delighting in the chaos it creates. It can be summoned by those with ill intent, used as a weapon against enemies. The stories say that the Tokolosh can only be seen by children and animals, its form invisible to the adult eye. But even if you cannot see it, you can feel it, the chill in the air, the sense of something watching you from the shadows. People go to great lengths to protect themselves from the Tokolosh. Beds are raised off the ground, charms are hung above doorways, and prayers are whispered into the night. These precautions are born from fear, a fear that is as old as the forests themselves. But the Tokolosh is not just a figure of fear, it is a reminder of the unseen forces that shape our world, forces that are beyond our control and understanding. The stories of the Tokolosh are passed down from generation to generation, a warning and a lesson, a reminder that the world is full of mysteries that cannot be explained. Then there is the Abiku, a spirit that is both tragic and terrifying. In many parts of Africa, the Abiku is believed to be the spirit of a child who is born only to die young, again and again, to the same mother. These spirits are caught in a cycle of life and death, never finding peace. The Abiku is both pitied and feared, seen as a curse and a sorrow. Mothers who lose child after child to the Abiku are left heartbroken, their grief mingled with the fear that the spirit will return once more. The Abiku is a spirit that defies understanding. It is said to dwell in the trees, the wind carrying its cries to those who listen. The pain of the Abiku is felt not just by the mothers, but by the entire community. The rituals and prayers offered to appease the Abiku are acts of desperation, attempts to break the cycle of death. But the Abiku is a spirit of the forest, tied to the land in ways that humans cannot comprehend. It comes and goes as it pleases, its presence a reminder of the fragility of life and the power of the natural world. The legends of the Tokolosh and the Abiku are not just stories, they are reflections of the beliefs and fears that shape the lives of those who live in the shadow of the forest. These spirits are as real as the trees and the rivers, their presence felt in the rituals and customs that have been passed down through the ages. The Tokolosh is a symbol of the chaos and unpredictability of life, while the Abiku represents the pain and sorrow that comes with it. Both spirits are reminders of the power of the forest, a power that is both feared and revered. In the forests of Africa, the line between the physical and the spiritual is blurred. The trees are not just trees, they are homes to spirits that watch over the land. The rivers are not just rivers, they are the veins of the earth, carrying the life force that sustains the world. The shadows are not just shadows, they are the places where the spirits dwell, unseen but always present. The Tokolosh and the Abiku are just two of the many spirits that inhabit the forests of Africa, their stories a testament to the rich spiritual beliefs that have shaped the continent. These spirits are not just figures of folklore, they are a part of the daily lives of those who believe in them. The rituals and customs that surround them are acts of respect and fear, ways of acknowledging the power of the natural world and the spirits that inhabit it. The Tokolosh and the Abiku are reminders that the world is full of mysteries that cannot be explained, mysteries that are as old as the forests themselves. In the end, the stories of the Tokolosh and the Abiku are stories of survival. They are tales of a world where the forest is not just a place, but a living, breathing entity, full of spirits that are as much a part of the land as the trees and the animals. The Tokalash and the Abiku are spirits that remind us of the power of the natural world, a power that is both beautiful and terrifying. They are spirits that speak to the deepest fears and hopes of those who live in the shadow of the forest, their stories a testament to the enduring connection between humanity and the land. The forest whispers ancient tales, its voice carried through the rustling leaves and the shadows that dance between the trees. In the heart of these woods, spirits dwell, beings of power and mystery that have shaped the beliefs and traditions of Native American tribes for generations. Among these spirits, the Wendigo and Coyote stand out, each one embodying the awe-inspiring and sometimes terrifying connection between the natural world and the human soul. The Wendigo, a creature of the cold, unforgiving north, is more than just a story, it is a manifestation of fear itself. Born from the icy winds and the endless winter nights, the Wendigo is said to be a spirit that takes hold of a person in moments of extreme hunger and desperation. It turns them into something no longer human, driven by an insatiable hunger for flesh. The Wendigo is a warning, a reminder of what happens when the balance between human and nature is broken. It is a creature that embodies the darkest corners of the human psyche, where survival instincts override morality and compassion. The Wendigo is not just a monster, it is a force that strips away the veneer of civilization, revealing the raw, primal instincts beneath. It is said that those who become Wendigos are doomed to wander the forest, their bodies twisted and grotesque, their minds consumed by an endless, gnawing hunger. The legend of the Wendigo is a tale of loss, of humanity, of self, of control. It is a story that chills the soul, not just because of the creature itself, but because of what it represents, the fragile line between man and beast, between sanity and madness. In stark contrast to the Wendigo's cold and relentless hunger stands Coyote, a spirit known across many Native American tribes as a trickster, a teacher, and a creator. Coyote is a figure of cunning and wit, a spirit who uses humor and deception to teach valuable lessons. Where the Wendigo embodies fear and destruction, Coyote represents the unpredictable, often chaotic nature of life itself. He is a character of contradictions, both wise and foolish, both a creator and a destroyer. Coyote's tales are filled with mischief and humor, but beneath the laughter lies wisdom. In one story, Coyote steals fire from the gods to give to humans, a selfless act that shows his deep connection to humanity. But in another, he is the cause of his own downfall, his arrogance and greed leading him into trouble. Coyote's stories are not just tales of trickery, they are reflections of human nature, with all its flaws and virtues. He teaches that life is unpredictable, that even the cleverest plans can go awry, and that there is always something to learn, even from our mistakes. Coyote's role in Native American culture is profound. He is a symbol of transformation, of the ever-changing nature of the world. His stories remind us that life is a cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, that every end is also a beginning. In some traditions, Coyote is even credited with creating the world, his actions shaping the very landscape of the earth. But true to his nature, Coyote's creation is not perfect, his world is full of challenges, pitfalls, and opportunities for learning. This imperfection is what makes Coyote's world so real, so human. The stories of the Wendigo and Coyote are not just mythological tales, they are integral to the cultural practices and beliefs of the tribes that tell them. The Wendigo serves as a stark reminder of the consequences of losing touch with the natural world, of giving in to the darker side of human nature. It is a cautionary tale, a story told around the fire to warn of the dangers that lie in wait when the balance between man and nature is disturbed. Coyote, on the other hand, is celebrated in rituals and ceremonies, his stories passed down through generations as a source of entertainment, education, and spiritual guidance. His presence is felt in the laughter of children, in the wisdom of elders, and the very fabric of tribal life. Coyote is a spirit that teaches through experience, through the ups and downs of life, reminding us that wisdom often comes from the most unexpected places. These spirits, the Wendigo and Coyote, are more than just characters in stories, they are reflections of the worldviews of the tribes that honor them. The Wendigo speaks to the fear of losing oneself to the wilderness, to the harsh realities of survival in the unforgiving landscapes of the North. Coyote, meanwhile, embodies the resilience, adaptability, and humor that are essential to navigating the complexities of life. In the forests where these spirits dwell, the line between the human world and the spirit world is thin. The Wendigo and Coyote are reminders of this connection, of the deep, spiritual ties that bind us to the earth, to the trees, to the very essence of life itself. They are spirits that have shaped the beliefs, practices, and identities of Native American tribes for centuries, their stories as alive today as they were in the times of the ancestors. In the end, the Wendigo and Coyote are not just spirits of the forest, they are embodiments of the human experience, of our fears and hopes, our wisdom and folly. They remind us that the forest is not just a place of trees and animals, but a living, breathing entity, full of power and mystery. And in that forest, whether we face the cold, relentless hunger of the Wendigo or the clever, unpredictable antics of Coyote, we find reflections of ourselves, our strengths, our weaknesses, and our endless capacity for growth and transformation. The dense jungles of Mesoamerica and South America are places where the air feels thick with secrets, where every rustle of the leaves and every shadow might be the presence of something ancient, something otherworldly. In these forests, spirits known as the Shinek and Yasi Yatir have long been whispered about, their stories woven into the fabric of the land and the lives of the people who call it home. These spirits, both feared and revered, are seen as guardians, tricksters, and sometimes guides into the mysterious heart of the jungle. The Shinek, known among the indigenous peoples of Mexico, is a spirit that lives in the wild, untamed places of the world. These beings are small, elusive, and often mischievous, known for leading travelers astray, playing tricks, and sometimes causing harm to those who disrespect the forest. But the Shinek is more than just a trickster, it is a guardian of nature, a spirit that protects the sacred places of the earth from those who seek to exploit or harm them. Legends say that the Shinek can take many forms, sometimes appearing as a child, sometimes as a small, almost human-like creature with a fierce, wild look in its eyes. It is said that those who encounter a Shinek must be careful, for if they do not show respect or offer a gift, the Shinek might curse them, leading them deeper into the jungle until they are lost, perhaps forever. Yet, for those who honor the forest and its spirits, the Shinek can be a guide, leading them to hidden places of great beauty and power. The Shinek represents the dual nature of the forest, both a place of danger and a place of wonder. It reminds us that the natural world is not ours to control, but something alive, something that demands respect. The Shinek is a spirit that embodies the wildness of the jungle, a force that cannot be tamed but must be honored. In the stories told by the indigenous peoples, the Shinek serves as a reminder that the forest is a sacred place, full of life and spirit, and that those who walk its paths must do so with humility and reverence. Further south, in the rainforests of South America, the spirit known as Yasi Yatir is said to dwell. In the traditions of the Guarani people, Yasi Yatir is a figure both feared and revered, a spirit of the forest who has the power to enchant and bewilder. Yasi Yatir is often described as a small, beautiful boy with golden hair, carrying a magical staff that can lull anyone who sees it into a deep, dreamlike sleep. Yasi Yatir is a protector of the forest, but like the Shinek, he is also a trickster. He is known for leading children away from their homes, taking them into the depths of the jungle where they might never be found again. But unlike the more mischievous Shinek, Yasi Yatir's actions are not always malevolent. Some say that he takes the children because he is lonely, longing for companionship in the vast, silent forest. Others believe that he leads them away to protect them from danger or to teach them the secrets of the jungle. There is a sadness in the stories of Yasi Yatir, a sense of isolation that comes from living in a world that is both beautiful and terrifying. He is a spirit caught between two worlds, the world of humans and the world of the forest. In his loneliness, he reaches out, but his touch is often misunderstood, leading to fear and sorrow. Yet, Yasi Yatir is also a symbol of the deep connection between the people and the land, a reminder that the forest is not just a place, but a living, breathing entity that holds within it the souls of countless spirits. The tales of Yasi Yatir are filled with emotion, with the longing of a spirit who is at once powerful and vulnerable. He is a figure that embodies the complexities of the human relationship with nature, a relationship that is at once nurturing and destructive, full of both love and fear. In the stories passed down through generations, Yasi Yatir is a reminder that the forest is a place of magic, a place where the boundaries between the physical and the spiritual blur, and where anything is possible. The Shanick and Yasi Yatir are more than just characters in folklore. They are the heartbeats of the jungle, the spirits that give life to the trees, the rivers, and the very air itself. They are the protectors of the wild, the guardians of the sacred, and the keepers of the ancient wisdom that flows through the veins of the earth. In the stories of these spirits, we find the echoes of a time when the world was young, when humans and nature were one, and when the forest was a place of mystery and wonder. As we listen to the tales of the Shanick and Yasi Yatir, we are reminded of the importance of respecting the natural world, of understanding that the forest is not just a resource to be used, but a home to countless spirits who watch over it, who live within it, and who are a part of it. These spirits teach us that the forest is a place of great power, a place where the spirits of the earth and the spirits of the people are intertwined in a dance that has been going on for centuries. In the end, the Shanick and Yasi Yatir are reflections of the human soul, wild, untamed, full of both light and darkness. They are the guardians of the forest, but they are also the mirrors in which we see ourselves, our fears, our desires, and our deep, unbreakable connection to the earth. Through their stories, we are reminded that the forest is a place of magic, a place where spirits walk, and where the line between the world we know and the world of the unknown is as thin as a whisper in the wind. In the heart of the vast Pacific, where the ocean kisses the land and the forests rise like emerald waves, there are stories that have been told for generations, stories of spirits who guard the land, the waters, and the people. Among the many spirits of Oceanic and Polynesian folklore, the Tanawa and Menehune stand out, their presence felt in the very breath of the islands, in the rustling leaves of the forest, and in the rhythm of the waves. The Tanawa is a creature of great power, often depicted as a giant serpent or dragon-like being that resides in deep caves, rivers, or the sea. In the Maori tradition, the Tanawa is both a guardian and a threat, a being that must be respected and feared. It is said that Tanawa can protect a tribe, watching over their lands and warning them of danger. But they can also be vengeful, striking out at those who dare to harm the natural world or disrespect the sacred places. One such story tells of a Tanawa who lived in a river, its body so massive that it could cause the waters to rise and flood the land. The people who lived near the river knew that they had to honor the Tanawa, offering gifts and prayers to keep it calm. But one day, a stranger came, a man who did not believe in the old ways. He mocked the stories of the Tanawa and decided to build his house right on the riverbank, cutting down trees and disturbing the land. The Tanawa, enraged by this act of disrespect, rose from the river in a fury. The water surged, sweeping away the man and his house, leaving nothing behind. The people watched in sorrow, knowing that the Tanawa was reminding them of the importance of honoring the spirits of the land and the water. The Tanawa represents the raw, untamed power of nature, a force that can bring life and destruction in equal measure. It is a reminder that the land is not just a physical place, but a living entity, with spirits that must be respected and cared for. The Maori people understand this deep connection between the spiritual and physical worlds, and the Tanawa is a powerful symbol of this relationship. In the forests of Hawaii, the Menehune are said to dwell, small, elusive beings who are known for their incredible craftsmanship and mischief. The Menehune are often described as little people, living deep in the forests, coming out at night to build and create. They are said to be responsible for many of the ancient structures found on the islands, their work so perfect and precise that it seems almost impossible for human hands to have made it. One of the most famous stories of the Menehune involves a great fish pond that was built in a single night. The chief of the island wanted to build a fish pond, but his people struggled to complete the work. So, he called upon the Menehune, offering them food and gifts in exchange for their help. That night, under the cover of darkness, the Menehune came out and began their work. They moved stones and dug the earth, working with a speed and skill that amazed those who watched. By morning, the fish pond was complete, a testament to the power and abilities of the Menehune. But when the people came to see the pond, the Menehune had vanished, leaving no trace of their presence. The Menehune are more than just clever builders, they are the keepers of the old ways, the spirits who remember the time before the islands were settled by humans. They are guardians of the forest, protectors of the land, and their stories are filled with both wonder and caution. The Menehune remind us that the world is full of unseen forces, that the land we walk on is ancient and sacred, and that we must tread carefully, with respect and humility. Both the Tanawa and the Menehune hold deep significance in the spiritual and cultural life of Oceanic and Polynesian peoples. They are not just characters in stories, but living spirits who are present in the land, the water, and the forests. They are the embodiments of the connection between the people and the natural world, a connection that is essential to the survival of both. In the legends of the Tanawa and Menehune, there is a sense of awe and reverence for the world around us. The Tanawa, with its immense power, teaches us about the importance of respecting the natural world, of understanding that there are forces beyond our control that must be honored. The Menehune, with their skill and mystery, show us the magic that exists in the everyday world, the hidden wonders that are all around us if we only take the time to see. These spirits are woven into the fabric of life in the Pacific, their stories passed down through generations, their presence felt in every corner of the land. They are a reminder that the world is alive with spirit, that the forests, the rivers, and the oceans are not just resources to be used, but living entities that must be respected and cared for. In the end, the tales of the Tanawa and Menehune are not just about the spirits themselves, but about the relationship between people and the natural world. They remind us of the power and beauty of the land, of the importance of living in harmony with the earth, and of the deep, spiritual connection that ties us all together. Through their stories, we learn that the world is full of wonder and mystery, and that the spirits of the forest are always watching, always guiding, always protecting. In the quiet heart of the forest, where the sunlight filters through the canopy and the leaves whisper secrets, there are ancient guardians who watch over the land. These are the forest spirits, beings of great power and wisdom who protect the natural world with a fierce and gentle might. They are not merely stories, but a living presence, ensuring that the forest remains vibrant and alive. Forest spirits are known to be the protectors of the natural world, their duty stretching far beyond mere myth. These spirits are seen as the guardians of the forest, their presence interwoven with every tree, stream, and glade. They act as sentinels, ensuring that balance is maintained and that nature's rhythms are not disturbed by human actions. The forest is their domain, a sacred space where their influence is felt in every rustling leaf and every chirping bird. One story that underscores their role as protectors is the tale of the ancient oak in a remote European village. The oak was said to be the home of a powerful forest spirit, known to the locals as the Green Man. The tree stood at the heart of the village, revered by all who lived nearby. The Green Man was believed to safeguard the village, ensuring that the crops grew and the rivers flowed. One harsh winter, a group of travelers, desperate for warmth, sought shelter in the village. Unaware of the Green Man's importance, they began to chop down trees for firewood, including the great oak that housed the spirit. As the axe struck the tree, the air grew heavy with a sense of foreboding. The ground trembled slightly, and a cold wind howled through the village. Despite their pleas, the travelers continued their work, driven by necessity. As the last of the tree's mighty boughs fell, the temperature dropped even further, and the villagers began to notice strange things happening. The river, usually gentle and kind, swelled and flooded its banks. The crops, which had always been plentiful, withered and died. The villagers, realizing their mistake, sought out the elders who told them the tale of the Green Man. They were advised to offer their sincerest apologies and perform a ritual of restoration. The villagers worked tirelessly to mend their actions, replanting trees and restoring the land. Gradually, the spirit's favor returned, and the village's fortunes began to improve. The story of the Green Man became a cautionary tale, reminding everyone of the delicate balance that must be respected between human needs and nature's sanctity. In another part of the world, the Tokalash, a malevolent forest spirit in African folklore, embodies the darker side of forest protection. Known for its mischievous and sometimes malevolent nature, the tokolosh is believed to cause illness and misfortune to those who anger it. In one legend, a group of villagers decided to clear a dense patch of forest for new farmland, unaware of the tokolosh's presence. The clearing disturbed the spirit's home, and it retaliated with a series of misfortunes, cattle falling sick, crops failing, and strange accidents occurring. The villagers, terrified and desperate, turned to a wise elder who revealed that the tokolosh's anger had been stirred. To appease the spirit, they had to conduct a series of rituals to restore harmony. The story of the tokolosh serves as a powerful reminder of the consequences of disrupting the balance of nature and the importance of showing respect to the spirits that inhabit the forest. These tales from different cultures highlight the universal theme of forest spirits as guardians. They are not just protectors but also enforcers of a code of respect and balance. When their homes are threatened or their sanctity is violated, they respond with measures that restore equilibrium, often through severe consequences. The anger of these spirits is not arbitrary but a reflection of the disruption caused by human actions. The consequences of disturbing forest spirits can be profound and unsettling. The stories of the Green Man and the tokolosh illustrate how a lack of respect for the natural world can lead to severe repercussions. Nature, as viewed through these legends, is not a mere backdrop for human activity but a living, breathing entity with its own spirit and will. Disturbing this balance can lead to misfortune, illness, and even disaster. In the quiet moments of the forest, when the sun casts dappled shadows and the breeze carries the scent of pine and earth, it is easy to forget that these woods are not just trees and soil but a realm of living spirits. The legends and stories of forest spirits remind us that we are not alone in our interaction with nature. There are unseen guardians watching over the land, ensuring that harmony is maintained and that the natural world is respected and cherished. These tales are not just cautionary stories but heartfelt reminders of our connection to the land. They evoke a sense of wonder and respect for the natural world, urging us to recognize the presence of the spirits who safeguard it. Through these legends, we are invited to reflect on our place in the world, to honor the guardians of the forest, and to tread lightly on the earth that sustains us all. In the heart of the forest, where shadows dance and whispers linger on the breeze, there are spirits who delight in mischief and trickery. These are the trickster spirits, beings who play games with human perceptions, challenging our assumptions and teaching lessons through their playful deceptions. They are not just whimsical characters but profound teachers who use humor and cunning to convey deeper truths. One of the most intriguing trickster spirits is the Japanese kitsune, a fox spirit known for its magical abilities and mischievous nature. According to folklore, kitsune can transform into a beautiful woman and use this disguise to deceive unsuspecting humans. In one famous story, a kitsune took the form of a lovely young woman and married a man. For years, she lived with him, bearing children and contributing to their home. But one day, driven by a mysterious impulse, she revealed her true form and vanished into the forest, leaving her husband heartbroken and confused. This story is not merely about deception but a reflection of the impermanence of appearances. The kitsune's actions serve as a reminder that not everything is as it seems and that true understanding comes from looking beyond surface appearances. The trickster spirit, in this case, challenges humans to see past the immediate and recognize the deeper truths about love, trust, and the nature of reality. In the forests of northern Europe, the Norse god Loki embodies the trickster spirit. Known for his shape-shifting abilities and cunning nature, Loki often causes trouble for the gods of Asgard. In one tale, Loki uses his shape-shifting powers to deceive Thor into thinking he has lost his hammer. By leading Thor on a wild goose chase, Loki not only demonstrates his cleverness but also teaches a lesson about the value of vigilance and the pitfalls of overconfidence. Loki's antics reveal the fine line between cleverness and deceit, showing that while trickery can be entertaining, it can also have serious consequences. His stories often end with Loki facing the repercussions of his actions, highlighting that deceit, even when wrapped in humor, can lead to serious outcomes. In African folklore, the Anansi spider is a well-known trickster spirit. Anansi stories are famous for their humor and wit. One tale tells of how Anansi tricked all the animals into giving him their stories, claiming that he would weave them into a grand tapestry. Instead, Anansi kept the stories for himself, enriching his own knowledge while leaving the animals with nothing. Anansi's tricks teach the importance of sharing and the consequences of greed. Through his clever schemes and eventual downfall, the stories of Anansi convey a message about the value of generosity and the dangers of selfishness. Anansi's mischief is a vehicle for moral lessons, reminding us that our actions towards others can have far-reaching effects. The Native American trickster spirit Coyote also brings lessons wrapped in humor. Coyote, known for his mischief and cunning, often finds himself in situations where his own trickery backfires. In one tale, Coyote tricks other animals into helping him gather food, only to end up with nothing as his schemes unravel. Coyote's antics, while entertaining, also illustrate the pitfalls of deceit and the importance of honesty and integrity. The stories of Coyote often end with him learning a hard lesson about his own behavior. They serve as a reminder that trickery can be a double-edged sword and that the consequences of deceit can ultimately lead to personal growth and self-awareness. Trickster spirits, across cultures, challenge our perceptions and beliefs, using their antics to convey moral lessons. They play with human expectations, leading us into situations where we must confront our own assumptions and biases. Through their stories, we learn about the complexities of human nature, the pitfalls of deceit, and the importance of seeing beyond the surface. These tales of trickster spirits are more than just entertaining stories. They are profound reflections on the nature of deception, the consequences of our actions, and the lessons we can learn from our mistakes. The laughter and surprise that trickster spirits bring are intertwined with deeper truths about ourselves and the world around us. The tricks and deceptions of these forest spirits invite us to reflect on our own lives and behaviors. They encourage us to question our assumptions, challenge our beliefs, and learn from our experiences. Through their playful antics, trickster spirits reveal the hidden truths that lie beneath the surface, teaching us valuable lessons about ourselves and the world we inhabit. In the quiet of the forest, where ancient trees whisper secrets and shadows play tricks with the light, people have long performed rituals and offered gifts to forest spirits. These practices are not just acts of tradition but heartfelt gestures meant to honor and appease the unseen guardians of nature. The rituals are a dance of reverence, woven with hopes and fears, meant to maintain harmony with the world beyond our sight. Imagine a village nestled on the edge of a dense, ancient forest. The villagers, aware of the forest's mystical presence, gather for a special ritual. They bring offerings of fruits, herbs, and handmade crafts, placing them in a clearing surrounded by towering trees. As they chant ancient prayers, the air becomes thick with anticipation, and the forest seems to hold its breath. This act of giving is more than a ritual. It is a plea for balance, a way of showing respect for the spirits believed to dwell in the forest's depths. In Japan, the practice of offering gifts to forest spirits is seen in the tradition of kami. Shinto shrines often sit at the forest's edge, where offerings of rice, salt, and sake are left to honor the spirits known as kami. These offerings are not just tokens, but symbols of gratitude and respect. The forest is seen as a sacred space where kami reside, and the ritual acts as a way to show that humans are aware of their presence and are committed to living in harmony with nature. In the Amazon rainforest, indigenous tribes hold elaborate ceremonies to communicate with the forest spirits. One such ritual involves the ayahuasca ceremony, where shamans consume a sacred plant brew that is believed to open pathways to the spirit world. During these ceremonies, offerings of tobacco, feathers, and sacred objects are made to the spirits. The rituals are not just about seeking favor but about fostering a deep connection with the forest, recognizing it as a living, breathing entity that must be honored and respected. In parts of Africa, such as among the Yoruba people of Nigeria, forest spirits are central to spiritual life. They perform rituals that involve the sacrifice of animals, like chickens or goats, and the presentation of gifts such as fruits and crafted items. These sacrifices are not made out of fear but from a place of respect and need for the spirit's favor. The rituals are vibrant and communal, involving songs, dances, and prayers that acknowledge the spirit's role in their lives and seek their protection and guidance. The Celtic peoples of ancient Europe also held the forest in reverence. They celebrated seasonal festivals, such as Samhain and Beltane, which were deeply connected to the forest and its spirits. Offerings of bread, milk, and other foods were left at sacred groves or under ancient trees believed to house spirits. These rituals were designed to honor the spirits and ask for their blessing on the coming season, ensuring that the balance between human activities and nature was maintained. In the Pacific Islands, particularly in Hawaii, the practice of offering to forest spirits is also prevalent. The ancient Hawaiian people performed rituals at sacred groves known as heiau, where offerings of food, flowers, and kapa cloth were left to honor the forest spirits and gods. These rituals were integral to maintaining a respectful relationship with the land and ensuring that the spirits were pleased and would continue to watch over and protect the people. Every ritual, regardless of its cultural background, shares a common thread, a profound respect for the forest and its spirits. These acts of offering and ceremony are not merely customs, but are deeply rooted in the belief that maintaining harmony with nature is essential for human well-being. By acknowledging the spirits through these practices, people express their gratitude, seek protection, and foster a sense of connection with the natural world. The significance of these rituals lies in their ability to bridge the gap between the known and the unknown, the seen and the unseen. They are a testament to humanity's enduring relationship with nature and the mystical forces believed to inhabit it. In performing these rituals, people are not just following tradition but are engaging in a heartfelt dialogue with the forest, seeking to honor the spirits that are thought to guard and guide them. Through the act of offering, whether it be food, crafts, or prayers, people create a space where respect and reverence for the natural world are expressed. These rituals are a powerful reminder of the delicate balance that exists between human life and the wild, untamed world of the forest. In the dim light of a forest glade, where shadows weave into the fabric of ancient trees, forest spirits have danced their way into the heart of art and literature for centuries. The enchantment of these spirits, half seen and whispering, has inspired countless artists and writers to capture their essence in vivid brushstrokes and powerful words. From ancient cave paintings to modern digital art, the portrayal of forest spirits reveals a deep connection between humanity and the mystical world of the woods. In old European folklore, the Green Man, a symbol of the forest's life force, often appears in carvings and sculptures adorning ancient churches and temples. His face, formed of leaves and branches, reminds us of the wildness and vitality of nature. These images, etched into stone, served as a reminder of the ever-present spirit of the forest and its role in the cycle of life and death. The world of classical art also reflects the fascination with forest spirits. Botticelli's Primavera vividly depicts a scene where mythical beings emerge from the foliage, their presence a testament to the blend of natural and supernatural realms. Here, the spirits are not just guardians of the woods, but integral players in the narrative of human existence, reflecting both beauty and mystery. In literature, forest spirits have captured the imaginations of storytellers, weaving their magic into tales that explore the very essence of human fears and desires. Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream transports readers to a realm where Puck and his fellow fairies weave mischief in the moonlit forest. Shakespeare's portrayal of these spirits is more than whimsical, it's a reflection of the chaotic, unpredictable nature of the human soul. The forest becomes a place where dreams and reality blur, where the spirits are both playful and profound, revealing hidden truths about love, jealousy, and transformation. J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings series takes the portrayal of forest spirits to epic proportions. The Ents, ancient tree-like beings, embody the forest's strength and wisdom. Tolkien's vivid descriptions of these creatures and their slow, deliberate movements capture the timeless essence of the forest. They remind readers of the deep and enduring relationship between the natural world and the mythical beings that inhabit it. Tolkien's work resonates with the primal fear and awe of the forest, portraying it as a living entity with its own will and purpose. In more recent times, Studio Ghibli's film Princess Mononoke offers a modern interpretation of forest spirits. The forest spirit, Shishigami, with its majestic deer-like form and luminous presence, embodies both life and death. This portrayal resonates with contemporary audiences, reflecting a deep respect for nature and its sacred, mystical qualities. The film captures the tension between human industry and the untamed world, making the forest spirit's struggle all the more poignant and urgent. These artistic and literary representations of forest spirits serve as a powerful mirror to our relationship with nature. They reveal the awe and fear that the forest evokes, as well as the deep, almost spiritual connection we feel with the natural world. The depiction of these spirits often reflects our own inner landscapes, our hopes, fears, and the quest for understanding the unknown. The stories and images inspired by forest spirits are not just fantasies but expressions of our deepest desires to connect with something greater than ourselves. They remind us of the beauty and mystery of the world around us, and the timeless belief that the forest is a realm where the spirit world and the human world meet. Each artistic portrayal and literary work inspired by forest spirits brings forth a unique facet of their character. Whether they are guardians, tricksters, or ancient beings, these representations highlight the rich tapestry of mythology and the enduring impact of these enigmatic spirits on our cultural and creative expressions. The forest spirits, through art and literature, continue to weave their magic, inviting us to pause and reflect on our place in the natural world. In the heart of an ancient forest, where the trees whisper secrets and shadows dance in the moonlight, countless tales of encounters with forest spirits echo through history. These stories, passed down through generations, weave a tapestry of wonder and fear, revealing the profound impact these experiences have had on cultures around the world. Imagine wandering into a dense forest, the path barely visible beneath a canopy of leaves. The air is cool and thick with the scent of moss and earth. Suddenly, a strange stillness envelopes the woods, and from the corner of your eye, you catch a fleeting glimpse of something, an ethereal figure, half hidden in the mist. This is the moment of an encounter with a forest spirit, an experience both exhilarating and unsettling. Throughout history, there are numerous accounts of such encounters that have shaped the beliefs and practices of many cultures. In Japan, for instance, the Kodama, tree spirits believed to inhabit ancient trees, are revered with great respect. There are stories of travelers who, upon chopping down a sacred tree, have been cursed with misfortune. In one chilling tale, a lumberjack, unaware of the tree's sacred status, faced a series of tragic events. His crops failed, his livestock perished, until he sought forgiveness from the forest spirits and performed a ritual of atonement. This story highlights the deep connection between people and the forest, revealing how encounters with these spirits were interpreted as warnings or signs of divine displeasure. In European folklore, the Leshy, a forest guardian from Slavic traditions, is known for leading travelers astray. Those who have wandered too far into the forest often describe feeling as if they were being watched or lured by an unseen presence. One such account tells of a hunter who, lost in the woods, saw a mysterious figure with a hat made of leaves and twigs. The Leshy, with its shifting forms and eerie whispers, misled the hunter until he was found by a local who knew how to appease the spirit. This encounter not only illustrates the Leshy's role as a protector of the forest, but also emphasizes the respect and caution with which forest spirits were approached. In the dense rainforests of South America, the Shinek is a small, elusive spirit known for mischievous behavior. There are tales of locals who, upon venturing into the forest, suddenly felt an invisible presence stealing their belongings or causing them to lose their way. One poignant story involves a young woman who, while collecting herbs, felt her basket growing heavier and heavier, as if an unseen hand was pulling at it. The Shinek, it was believed, had taken an interest in her, testing her patience and respect for the forest. Such encounters were seen as lessons in humility and respect, reinforcing the belief that the forest was a living, breathing entity with its own rules and inhabitants. In the African forests, the Tokalash, a malevolent spirit, is said to be capable of causing illness and misfortune. There are accounts of villagers who, after disturbing the forest or their sacred grounds, would fall ill or suffer strange accidents. One story recounts a family who, after clearing land near a forest, experienced a series of inexplicable illnesses. They consulted a local healer who performed a ritual to appease the Tokalash. The healing of the family was seen as a sign of the spirit's acceptance of their respect and the restoration of balance. Such experiences were interpreted as a powerful reminder of the sacred bond between the people and the forest. In Native American folklore, the Wendigo is a terrifying spirit associated with hunger and greed. There are accounts of people who, during harsh winters or desperate times, became obsessed with cannibalism, driven mad by the Wendigo's influence. One chilling tale describes a hunter who, after spending too long in the forest without food, began to hear whispers and saw haunting visions. He eventually succumbed to the Wendigo's call, a tragic reminder of the fine line between human survival and the spirit's dark influence. These encounters were deeply feared and taken as serious warnings of the dangers lurking in the wilderness. Across these diverse cultures, encounters with forest spirits are more than just eerie tales, they are profound expressions of the human spirit's quest to understand and respect the natural world. These stories reveal the deep-seated beliefs that forest spirits are not just mythical beings but powerful entities that can influence human lives. They serve as a bridge between the seen and the unseen, reminding us of the ancient and sacred connection we share with the world around us. The impact of these stories on local beliefs and practices is immense. They reinforce the importance of rituals, respect, and harmony with nature. From rituals to appease the spirits to stories that teach respect for the natural world, these encounters shape cultural practices and ensure that the mysteries of the forest remain an integral part of human life. In the hushed stillness of the forest, where shadows lengthen and the air holds secrets, the idea of forest spirits intertwines with ancient beliefs about the afterlife. These mystical beings, often seen as guardians of the natural world, also hold a profound role in guiding souls to the beyond, adding a touch of the otherworldly to their already enigmatic presence. Picture a quiet clearing bathed in moonlight, the trees whispering softly in the night. Amidst this tranquil scene, forest spirits are thought to be waiting, not just to protect the living but also to guide the departed on their journey to the afterlife. In many cultures, these spirits are not only keepers of the forest but also play a crucial role in the transition from life to death. In ancient Celtic traditions, the Green Man, a symbol of the forest's vitality, is also believed to be connected to the afterlife. This spirit, with his face formed of leaves and vines, represents the endless cycle of life and death. In some myths, the Green Man is seen as a guide for souls, helping them navigate the transition between worlds. The forest, under his watchful gaze, becomes a sacred place where the boundary between life and death blurs, offering a path for souls to find peace. Similarly, in Japanese folklore, the kodama, tree spirits believed to dwell in ancient trees, are associated with the passage of souls. It is said that when someone dies, their spirit might linger in the forest, seeking solace or guidance. The kodama, revered and sometimes feared, are believed to help these wandering souls find their way. The trees themselves, ancient witnesses to countless lives and deaths, become the resting place for these spirits, embodying the connection between the natural world and the afterlife. In the heart of Africa, the belief in forest spirits such as the Tokalash extends to the realm of the dead. These spirits, known for their mischievous and sometimes malevolent behavior, are also thought to be guardians of the afterlife. Legends tell of the Tokalash guiding the souls of the deceased through the dark forest, ensuring they do not stray from their path to the afterlife. This journey is fraught with challenges, reflecting the trials of life and the hope for a peaceful end. In Native American traditions, the Wendigo, a fearsome spirit associated with hunger and greed, also holds a place in the afterlife. Legends speak of the Wendigo's role in guiding souls who have been consumed by their own desires or have died in a state of unrest. The Wendigo, though terrifying, is seen as a necessary force that helps cleanse the soul before it can move on to the next world. The forest, in this context, becomes a place of both danger and redemption, where souls must confront their fears and sins before finding peace. Across the globe in the ancient Mesoamerican cultures, the belief in spirits like the Yasi Yatir reveals a deep connection between the forest and the afterlife. These spirits are often depicted as guardians of the dead, overseeing the journey of souls through the forest and into the underworld. The Yasi Yatir, with its eerie presence and mysterious ways, ensures that the souls are guided safely, protecting them from wandering astray or encountering malevolent forces. In Polynesian folklore, the Tanawa, though often seen as protectors or guardians, also have a role in the realm of the dead. These forest spirits are believed to help guide the souls of the deceased, ensuring they find their way to the afterlife. The dense forests and hidden waterways of Polynesia are thought to be the pathways through which these spirits lead souls, transforming the natural landscape into a sacred journey to the next world. Throughout these diverse cultures, the connection between forest spirits and the afterlife highlights a universal belief in the spirits' role as guides and guardians. They stand at the crossroads of life and death, ensuring that souls are not lost but are carefully guided through their final journey. The forest itself, with its mysterious and often impenetrable depths, becomes a symbolic and literal pathway to the afterlife, blending the natural with the supernatural. In these tales and beliefs, forest spirits are not just figures of folklore but are deeply intertwined with the human experience of life and death. They serve as a reminder of the sacred and often unseen forces that guide us through our lives and beyond, offering a sense of comfort and continuity in the face of the unknown. The forest, with its ancient trees and whispering winds, becomes a bridge between the living and the dead, a place where the spirit world and the human world meet in quiet, reverent harmony. In the midst of our bustling modern lives, where technology often overshadows the whispers of the natural world, a surprising and heartfelt resurgence is taking place. People are rediscovering the ancient connection to forest spirits, finding in them a balm for the soul and a reminder of the magic that still breathes through the trees. This renewed interest in forest spirits is not just a nostalgic yearning but a vibrant and meaningful part of contemporary spirituality. In a world where the pace of life often feels overwhelming, forest spirits offer a grounding presence, reconnecting individuals with the beauty and serenity of nature. People turn to these spirits for guidance, comfort, and a reminder of the world's mysteries that lie just beyond the veil of everyday life. Neo-paganism, a modern spiritual movement that embraces ancient beliefs and practices, has become a significant force in this revival. Forest spirits, once relegated to the annals of old myths, now play a central role in neo-pagan rituals and ceremonies. The Green Man, Dryads, and other forest entities are invoked in rites that honor the cycles of nature, celebrate the changing seasons, and seek harmony with the earth. These rituals often take place in the heart of the forest, where the connection to these spirits feels most profound and immediate. The environmental movement has also embraced the notion of forest spirits as symbols of nature's power and fragility. Forest spirits are increasingly seen as guardians of the earth, embodying the ancient wisdom that teaches respect and care for our natural surroundings. Environmentalists and nature advocates draw inspiration from the idea that these spirits watch over the forests, encouraging a deeper commitment to preserving these vital ecosystems. This spiritual connection fosters a sense of responsibility and reverence for the environment, emphasizing that protecting nature is not just a duty but a sacred trust. Modern interpretations of forest spirits vary widely, reflecting a rich tapestry of personal and cultural beliefs. For some, these spirits are seen as guides and protectors, offering wisdom and insight in times of need. Rituals might involve leaving offerings at the base of an ancient tree, whispering prayers to the wind, or simply sitting quietly in the forest to listen for the spirit's whispers. Each practice is a personal journey, blending ancient traditions with contemporary understandings of spirituality and nature. In a world where many feel disconnected from the natural world, the role of forest spirits offers a way to reconnect with something larger than oneself. They remind us of the beauty and mystery of the natural world, inviting us to pause and listen to the whispers of the trees and the rustle of the leaves. This reconnection often leads to a profound sense of peace and belonging, as individuals find solace in the timeless presence of these ancient guardians. Forest spirits are also celebrated in modern art and literature, where they serve as symbols of nature's enduring magic. Contemporary artists and writers draw upon the rich imagery and lore of forest spirits to create works that inspire wonder and reflection. These modern portrayals often blend traditional elements with new interpretations, capturing the timeless essence of these spirits while speaking to contemporary concerns and sensibilities. The resurgence of interest in forest spirits in modern spirituality is a testament to our enduring connection to the natural world. In a time when the pace of life can feel relentless, these spirits offer a reminder of the magic that exists just beyond our everyday experiences. They invite us to slow down, listen, and reconnect with the deep rhythms of nature. As people turn to these ancient beings for guidance and inspiration, the forest once again becomes a sacred space, where the whispers of the past and the hopes of the future meet in a harmonious dance. In the flickering glow of the silver screen, the magic of forest spirits has captured our imaginations in ways that seem almost spellbinding. From enchanting movies to captivating video games, these ancient beings have been woven into the fabric of modern media, bringing with them a breath of the mysterious and a touch of the otherworldly. In countless films, forest spirits are not just characters, they are the embodiment of wonder and mystery. Take, for example, the whimsical creatures of Studio Ghibli's Princess Mononoke or the majestic Treebeard from The Lord of the Rings. These depictions breathe new life into age-old myths, showcasing forest spirits as guardians of nature, imbued with wisdom and power. Their presence on screen is more than just visual splendor, it's a reflection of our deep-seated awe for the natural world and the legends that have surrounded it for centuries. Television shows have also embraced forest spirits, often portraying them as protectors of the natural world or as beings with a playful, mischievous side. In shows like Avatar, The Last Airbender, and The Owl House, forest spirits take on diverse forms, from the benevolent and wise to the enigmatic and elusive. These portrayals often blend traditional folklore with modern storytelling techniques, creating characters that resonate with audiences while keeping the essence of ancient beliefs alive. Video games have added another layer of interactivity to the portrayal of forest spirits. Games like The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Ori and the Will of the Wisps invite players into worlds where forest spirits are integral to the plot and gameplay. These spirits often guide, protect, or challenge the player, reflecting the way traditional folklore portrays them as powerful entities connected to the natural world. Through these interactive experiences, players not only encounter forest spirits but also engage with them in ways that shape their understanding of nature and magic. The influence of traditional folklore on these modern media portrayals is unmistakable. The ancient myths of dryads, Kodama, and other forest entities are reimagined through contemporary lenses, yet they retain echoes of their origins. Forest spirits in media often reflect a reverence for nature, highlighting themes of harmony, balance, and the mystical connections between humans and the natural world. These depictions remind us of the age-old belief that nature is alive with its own kind of magic and mystery, waiting just beyond our everyday reality. Analyzing how these portrayals reflect contemporary views on nature reveals a deep and often poignant connection. In a time when environmental concerns are at the forefront of global discussions, the representation of forest spirits in media serves as a powerful reminder of what is at stake. The stories and characters we see on screen reflect our collective anxiety about the loss of natural spaces and our longing for a return to a more harmonious relationship with the earth. Forest spirits in modern media also tap into our universal yearning for wonder and enchantment. They remind us of a simpler time when nature was a realm of magic and mystery, and every rustling leaf or whispering wind was a sign of something greater. This nostalgia is not just about longing for the past, but about a deep-seated hope for a future where we live in greater harmony with the world around us. In a world increasingly dominated by technology and urbanization, the depiction of forest spirits serves as a gentle nudge to remember the beauty and sanctity of the natural world. Whether through the captivating visuals of a film, the engaging stories of a TV show, or the interactive experiences of a video game, these portrayals keep the spirit of the forest alive in our hearts and minds. They offer a glimpse into a world where the ancient and the modern coexist, where the magic of the past continues to inspire and shape our present. The forest once teemed with life and whispers of magic, where every rustle of leaves seemed to carry secrets of ancient spirits. But as cities rise and forests fall, the belief in these mystical beings fades like the setting sun behind urban silhouettes. The sprawling concrete jungle has gradually replaced the enchanted woods, leaving behind echoes of once vivid tales. Urbanization has a powerful way of pushing aside the old for the new. As people build and expand, they carve away at the natural world that was once the home to countless forest spirits. The once lush, green landscapes where dryads danced and kodama whispered their warnings are now becoming distant memories overshadowed by skyscrapers and highways. This relentless advance of modernity has not only changed our environment but also distanced us from the spiritual connections that once bound us to the land. The once vibrant stories of forest spirits that wove through the fabric of daily life are now often lost in the bustle of city life. Traditional beliefs that once held great significance are now overshadowed by the demands of contemporary living. The gentle reminders of forest spirits have been replaced by the harsh sounds of machinery and the bright lights of urban streets. This shift has led many to view these ancient tales as quaint relics of a bygone era, rather than the living traditions they once were. Yet, amidst this decline, there are voices calling to preserve and revive these cherished myths. Enthusiasts, scholars, and communities are working to rekindle the flame of these ancient stories. They organize festivals that celebrate forest spirits, create art that honors their legacy, and share tales that once guided and protected. These efforts are not just about preserving folklore but about reconnecting with a sense of wonder and respect for the natural world that seems increasingly distant. In classrooms and community centers, people gather to learn and teach about the rich tapestry of forest spirit mythology. Schools incorporate these stories into their curricula to spark curiosity in young minds. Cultural preservation projects work tirelessly to document and share the traditions that are in danger of being forgotten. These initiatives serve as a beacon of hope, reminding us of the importance of keeping our connections with the past alive. Reviving these myths also involves a renewed awareness of the environment. As the effects of deforestation and climate change become more apparent, there is a growing movement to honor and protect the natural world. By integrating the reverence for forest spirits into modern environmentalism, people are finding new ways to relate to and protect the earth. This blend of old beliefs and contemporary issues helps foster a sense of responsibility toward nature, drawing from ancient wisdom to address current challenges. The decline of forest spirit beliefs is a poignant reminder of how easily we can lose touch with the magic that once shaped our understanding of the world. Yet, through dedicated efforts to preserve these stories, there is a chance to reconnect with a deeper appreciation for nature and the mysteries it holds. As long as there are those who remember and cherish the spirits of the forest, the whispers of the past will continue to echo through the modern world. Imagine stepping into a world where every forest is alive with whispers, where shadows hold ancient secrets and every rustle of the leaves hints at a presence just beyond sight. Forest spirits, found in tales from every corner of the world, are not just figments of imagination, they are reflections of our shared human experience. Across different cultures, forest spirits take on various forms, but carry strikingly similar themes. In Europe, you might meet the dryads, ethereal tree spirits entwined with the life force of ancient forests. They are guardians, watching over their trees with a fierce, protective love. In Asia, the kodama, mysterious spirits of the trees, are said to bring both good fortune and danger. They are a reminder of the delicate balance between nature and human life. In Africa, the tokolosh, a mischievous yet sometimes malevolent spirit, causes both fear and respect. Its presence warns of the importance of harmony with nature. Meanwhile, in Native American lore, the wendigo, a creature of the forest, embodies the terrifying consequences of greed and isolation. Each spirit, from the Green Man of Europe to the Yaksha of Asia, speaks of our profound connection to the natural world. These stories, though varied in their details, reveal universal truths about humanity's relationship with the environment. Common themes emerge across cultures. Forest spirits are often depicted as protectors of nature, embodying both the beauty and the danger of the wilderness. They remind us of the respect we must show to the land that sustains us. Symbols recur throughout these myths, such as the idea of spirits being tied to specific natural elements, trees, rivers, animals. This connection emphasizes how deeply intertwined human life has been with the natural world. These spirits often serve as intermediaries between humans and nature, a reminder of the sacredness of the environment. Archetypes also appear across the globe. The guardian spirit, whether it is the benevolent dryad or the enigmatic kodama, serves to highlight the moral lessons embedded in nature's laws. These spirits often test human characters, teaching respect for the environment through trials and tribulations. The trickster spirit, like the playful Menehune of Polynesia or the sly coyote of Native American stories, shows how nature itself can be unpredictable and how humans must navigate its whims with wisdom and humility. These myths have a universal significance. They reflect our collective fear and reverence for the unknown aspects of the natural world. Forest spirits represent our awareness of the power and mystery of nature, urging us to live in harmony with it. They echo our need to believe in forces greater than ourselves and our instinct to find meaning in the natural world that surrounds us. By comparing these forest spirit myths, we see that despite cultural differences, humanity shares a profound connection with nature. These stories are not just relics of the past, they are living lessons that continue to resonate with our present-day struggles and joys. They remind us that we are part of a larger, more mysterious world, one that is deserving of our respect and care. In the quiet stillness of the forest, where the sunlight filters through the canopy and shadows dance on the ground, there remains a whisper of ancient magic. Forest spirits, those elusive and enchanting beings from our myths and legends, continue to capture our hearts and imaginations even today. Their legacy, woven into the very fabric of human culture, holds a timeless appeal. Even in our modern world, where technology and urbanization often seem to eclipse nature's wonders, the allure of forest spirits endures. These spirits remind us of a world that exists just beyond the edge of our daily routines, a world where nature is alive with magic and mystery. They invite us to pause, to listen to the rustling leaves and the call of the wild, and to reconnect with the natural world in ways that transcend mere observation. Forest spirits are not just relics of folklore, they serve as powerful symbols of our deep, inherent connection to nature. In a time when the environment faces unprecedented challenges, these ancient stories offer a much-needed perspective. They encourage us to see forests not merely as resources to be used, but as sacred spaces to be respected. By invoking the presence of these spirits, we are reminded of the delicate balance that sustains life and the importance of preserving it for future generations. The role of forest spirits in fostering a deeper connection to nature cannot be understated. They embody the profound respect and awe that our ancestors felt toward the wilderness. Through their tales, we learn about the importance of harmony with nature, the consequences of disregarding its laws, and the beauty that lies in its mysteries. These spirits teach us that we are not separate from the natural world, but an integral part of it. They remind us that nature is not just a backdrop to our lives, but a living, breathing entity that deserves our reverence and care. As the world changes, so too does the way we interact with these ancient myths. In our rapidly shifting world, there is a renewed interest in understanding and preserving the stories of forest spirits. Environmental movements and spiritual practices increasingly draw on these traditions, seeking to find wisdom in old tales that can guide modern actions. This revival speaks to a collective yearning to reconnect with the natural world in a meaningful way, to find balance and harmony amidst the chaos of contemporary life. The future of forest spirit mythology is intricately linked to how we choose to relate to the environment. As we face global challenges such as climate change and deforestation, these myths offer both a warning and a beacon of hope. They remind us of the consequences of ignoring nature's limits and the profound rewards of living in harmony with it. By keeping these stories alive, we ensure that their lessons continue to inspire and guide us. The enduring legacy of forest spirits is a testament to their power and relevance. They bridge the gap between past and present, between the known and the unknown. They capture our imaginations and stir our souls, urging us to remember the ancient wisdom of our ancestors and to apply it in our modern lives. In their quiet, mystical presence, we find a call to reconnect with the natural world and to honor the delicate balance that sustains us all.